guys, there's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world, and it's stressful out there, and CUNY, and all kinds of problems, and it's tough. But and by the way, if you're taking more than one class with me, you're gonna hear this joke twice because I don't care. But it's a lot of tough stuff out there. But I just want to point out, look how fucking rad my coat is. I got dressed up today because I'm out in the sunshine, kind of. Anyway, welcome back to class. Coriolanus. I think we're gonna finish Coriolanus today. This block of videos is gonna close it out. So let's kind of get started on that and see how it goes. So what we're looking at really is the last thing I want to look at in Coriolanus, which is the scene at the end of the play when his mother and his son and his mom's friend Volumina. No, I'm sorry. Valeria. Volumina is Coriolanus' mom, Valeria is her friend, and Virgilia is the wife. It took me like a year to remember that. So when the three women and the young boy come to confront Coriolanus at the end of the play. So let's take a look at the sort of the end of the thing. So Volumina, this is his mother, because he says I'm not, he says I'm not going to grant you anything, right? Because he's very tough, and Coriolanus is refusing to kind of, because the whole point of this scene. The whole point of the final scene of Coriolanus is that his mother and his mom's friend and his wife and his little boy come to beg him to not destroy Rome. Because that's where they live, man. That's where they keep all their stuff. And so they ask him not to destroy Rome. But he's hard. I mean, he's angry. He got banished, and he's furious at these people. And war is the only thing that gives his life meaning. And so why not go to war with his own people? The great paradox of the play is that in trying to be an honorable man, he feels forced to be a traitor to his country. It's like all he can do. Those things should be opposites, and yet you can kind of understand the way in which an honorable person would be pushed in this direction. He's an ill-treated soldier. It's an excellent lesson about why we should maybe treat our veterans a little bit better, give them the kind of support that they need. So Volumina, and Coriolanus is very tough here. He says, I'm not going to sort of, give in to your demands just because you ask me to spare the city. He says, I'm not going to spare anything. At one point, they make the point that he's not even answering to a name anymore. He's just some kind of nameless fury destroyer who's shown up to wreck everything. And so his mother shows up to kind of beg for, the city. Should we be silent and not speak? Our arraignment and state of bodies would bewray what life we have led since thy exile. I mean, you can see how badly we're dressed. Rome is just, already, looking bad because of this siege, this attack that you're bringing, and everybody's worried and we're miserable. So he says, I don't want to hear you beg. And she says, I don't need to say anything. Just look at us and look how shitty we look. And you can tell how bad things have been going since you left. Think with thyself, how more unfortunate than all living women are we come hither, since that thy sight, which should make our eyes flow with joy, hearts dance with comforts, constrains them to weep and shake with fear and sorrow, making the mother, wife, and child see the son, the husband, and the father tearing his country's bowels out. They should be happy to see their soldier come home. But since he's come home to destroy the place, this has reversed everything about this experience for them. And Volumina says, this is again his mother, right, because he's going to tear his country's bowels out. And to pour we thine enmity's most capital, right, that we're the ones who are getting the brunt of this. Thou barrest us our prayers to the gods, because he told them, don't even pray for help. No one's coming to help you. Thou barrest us our prayers to the gods, which is a comfort that all but we enjoy. For how can we, alas, how can we, for our country pray, whereto we are bound, together with thy victory, whereto we are bound? So she says to him that everybody in the world, when things go wrong, can pray. They can pray to the gods for victory. So let's say you're being attacked in a war. You can pray to God to let your side win the war. But she says, the way you've done this, you've stolen from us our ability to even pray. Because whatever they pray for, it's bad. Are they supposed to pray that Rome is able to defeat Coriolanus? Well, if that happens, then Coriolanus dies. and the mom doesn't have a son, and the kid doesn't have a father, and the wife doesn't have a husband. So that's not going to work. Are they supposed to pray for Coriolanus? Well, that's not going to work either, because if Coriolanus gets what he wants, the entire city is going to be destroyed, and probably including them. So they can't pray for that either. And they basically say, "You've put me." His mom says, "You've put me in an impossible position because I can't pray for your victory and I can't pray for your defeat. So you've essentially stolen the power of prayer from us, and that should never happen, because everybody on earth is able to pray to the gods for help. But the way you've set this up, there's no way to pray without praying for our own destruction. Because it's either going to be the destruction of their home or the destruction of someone they love. There's no other alternative. The way Coriolanus has done this, he's put them in a bind. It's called a double bind, which is when you have two choices and they're both bad. Okay. And Voluminous says, okay, alack, we must lose the country, our dear nurse, or else thy person, our comfort in the country. Right. So we're going to lose. We're either going to lose you or we're going to lose the country. Either way, we lose. We must find an evident calamity, though we had our wish. To which side should win? For either thou must as a foreign recreant be led with manacles through our streets, or else triumphantly tread on thy country's ruin and bear the palm for having bravely shed thy wife and children's blood. Right? There's only two things that are going to happen here. Either you're going to get defeated and they're going to put you in chains and march you through the center of the city to execution, or you're going to kill us when you burn the whole city to the ground and kill us with it. So both options are bad. This is, by the way, a classic kind of Shakespearean situation where you have two options and they're both bad. This is something he's interested in kind of exploring. I mentioned earlier in the class that there's a simple kind of storytelling, mostly for children, where a problem is presented, and then at the end of the story, a solution to the problem. Right? So you're not sharing your toys. You should share your toys. The end. But in more complicated literature. Again, this is not the best way to put it, but literature for adults or something, that real literature raises problems to which there are no solutions. You can see that the situation, I mentioned this earlier in Coriolanus, right, that the issue with democracy, for example, it seems like having a king who doesn't listen to the people, that's not a good system for government. That's going to end up with like Hitler. But also having the people vote, well, people vote on stupid shit. They vote for dumb people to lead the country. And as a result, that's not going to work either. And so Coriolanus it's a double bind. They're both bad. Hitler is bad and democracy is bad. Neither one of them seem to work. They both seem to result in terrible things. Same thing at the end of the play. Coriolanus has come to destroy Rome, and the options are for Volumina and Valeria and Virgilia and the kid. Their options are either Coriolanus wins and you're all destroyed, or Coriolanus loses and someone very important to you dies. There's no way out of this. And so Shakespeare does is he builds these little puzzles and boxes where there's only two options and they're both bad, because he's trying to explore. One of the things Shakespeare and real literature does is it explores problems that don't have a solution. My friend Jason says literature is an archive of unsolvable problems, because you're going to need to study problems that don't have a solution if you're going to understand the world that you live in. And this is one of the reasons we do literature, is to think about problems that don't have a solution, because life is hard and it's complicated. And the problem with kids' stories is that they make it seem easy. When you read stories for children, you just defeat the bad guy and then happiness comes to the land and everything's good again. But real life doesn't work like that. Real life is complicated. It's difficult. The challenges are difficult. There are not easy answers. And so we have to kind of spend some time thinking about that if we're going to live in the world that we live in, where there are not easy answers. Yeah, okay. All right, I think I'm stopping this video. I'm going to pick it up in the next video before I say something about our current leadership in America. Maybe I will. I don't know.